The starship's metal hull groaned as it docked with the alien vessel. Captain Elena Marquez adjusted her uniform and took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm raging inside her. She was about to face the Xerixians, a race known for their ruthless conquests and unyielding pride. Negotiating peace with them was a near impossible task, but humanity needed it. The war had already claimed too many lives. The docking bay doors hissed open, revealing a dim, cavernous room bathed in red light. A group of Xerixian warriors stood waiting, their armored bodies towering over her, their faces concealed behind metallic masks adorned with jagged designs. Their leader, High Commander Xylar, stepped forward, his posture rigid and menacing. His golden eyes glowed through his mask, locking onto Elena with cold calculation. "Human," he spoke, his voice echoing in the chamber. "You come here unarmed, seeking peace, a gesture either of great bravery or utter foolishness." Elena held her head high, refusing to be intimidated. "I come representing Earth and the United Federation. We seek an end to this conflict. Enough blood has been shed on both sides. We can coexist without destruction." A low rumble of laughter rippled through the Xerixian warriors. Xylar's lips curled into a mocking smile. "Coexist? You presume equality where none exists. Your species is weak, fragile. You beg for peace because you cannot endure war." Elena clenched her fists, keeping her temper in check. "We seek peace not out of weakness, but wisdom. Continued war benefits no one. We can share knowledge, resources." "Share." Xylar's eyes narrowed, his tone dripping with disdain. "Your people polluted your own planet, exhausting its riches. You come to the stars like parasites, seeking to leech from those stronger than you." Elena's jaw tightened. "We are not parasites. We adapt, we learn, and we have much to offer. Diplomacy, alliances, technology." Xylar's laughter boomed, echoing off the metallic walls. "Technology? Your primitive toys amuse us. Your weapons barely scratched our ships. Your strategies are predictable, your defenses laughable." He took a step closer, his imposing figure casting a shadow over her. "You come to negotiate peace, but what you truly offer is surrender." "No," Elena said firmly, meeting his gaze without flinching. "I offer partnership, an alliance that could benefit both our civilizations. We can help each other grow." Xylar's eyes gleamed with contempt. "Your arrogance astounds me. You stand before a superior race and speak of alliances as if we are equals. Your world is ripe for conquest. Why should we settle for peace when victory is within our grasp?" Elena's heart pounded, but she maintained her composure. "Because war breeds vengeance. Even if you conquer Earth, resistance will remain. You'll face rebellions, sabotage, endless bloodshed. Peace brings stability and prosperity." Xylar was silent for a moment, his expression unreadable. Then he turned to his warriors, speaking in his native tongue. They responded with guttural growls of approval. Xylar faced Elena again, his golden eyes blazing with resolve. "You misunderstand, human. We do not fear resistance. We relish it. Conquest is our way. War is our honor. Your species must learn its place." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. "If you continue this path, more lives will be lost. On both sides." Xylar's smile was cold and merciless. "Sacrifice is the price of glory, and we shall pay it gladly." He raised his arm, signaling to his warriors. "Take her to the holding cells. Let her witness our preparations. She will see the might of the Xerixian Empire firsthand before her world burns." Before Elena could react, two warriors seized her arms, their grip like iron. She struggled, but their strength was overwhelming. As they dragged her away, Xylar's voice echoed behind her. "You came to negotiate, human, but we demand war." The doors closed, sealing her fate within the heart of the enemy ship. Elena's mind raced, searching for a way out, a way to stop the impending carnage, but for now she was at their mercy, a lone human, amidst a race that craved conquest above all else. Would humanity survive the wrath of the Xerixians? Or would Earth become another trophy of war for a civilization that knew no mercy? The battle for peace had just begun, and Elena was determined to fight it, even if she was humanity's last hope. The cold metal floor bit into Elena's knees as the guards threw her into the holding cell. The door slammed shut behind her, the echo resonating ominously through the dim, metallic chamber. She pulled herself up, wincing as pain shot through her shoulders. The Xerixians didn't hold back on their strength. Her arms throbbed where they had gripped her, bruises already forming beneath her uniform. She scanned her surroundings, noting the barren room, its walls lined with unfamiliar glyphs glowing faintly in a sickly green hue. A single observation panel was embedded high above, undoubtedly monitoring her every move. Elena's heart pounded with fear, but she forced herself to focus. Panicking would solve nothing. She was a captain of the United Federation. She wouldn't go down without a fight. Pacing the small cell, she replayed her conversation with High Commander Xylar. His contempt for humanity was palpable, his desire for war unyielding. Diplomacy had failed, but Elena couldn't let this be the end. If she didn't find a way to warn Earth, to prepare them for the coming invasion, countless lives would be lost. A faint hum interrupted her thoughts. The observation panel flickered, and Xylar's face appeared, his golden eyes gleaming with malicious curiosity. "You look troubled, Captain Marquez. Has the reality of your species' doom finally settled in?" he taunted, his voice dripping with mockery. Elena straightened her posture, meeting his gaze defiantly. "You're underestimating us, Xylar. Humanity doesn't break so easily." Xylar laughed, the sound cold and hollow. "Your stubbornness is amusing, but futile. Earth will fall, and you will watch as everything you love is reduced to ashes." Elena's fists clenched. "You think war will bring you glory? It will bring nothing but hatred and vengeance. You're setting your own people up for endless conflict." Xylar's eyes narrowed. "Conflict is the crucible that forges strength. Weak races seek peace. The strong take what they desire." "You mistake cruelty for power," Elena retorted, her voice firm. "True strength lies in unity, in building rather than destroying. Your empire won't last if it's built on fear and oppression." Xylar's expression darkened. "I grow weary of your insolence, human. You speak of unity, but your kind has always been divided, fighting over land, resources, and power. Hypocrites preaching peace while waging wars amongst yourselves." Elena's jaw tightened, but she kept her composure. "We have our flaws, yes, but we learn, we grow, we strive for a better future, even when it seems impossible." Xylar's gaze was cold, unyielding. "Your idealism will die with your world. I will show you the fate that awaits your kind." The panel flickered off, and the room trembled as the ship's engines roared to life. Elena felt the unmistakable sensation of acceleration. They were on the move, likely heading toward Earth. Panic surged through her, but she forced herself to breathe, to think clearly. There had to be a way out, a way to stop this madness. She inspected the walls, searching for any weakness, any escape, but the cell was solid, fortified with alien technology far beyond human engineering. Then she heard it, a faint, rhythmic tapping coming from the wall behind her. She pressed her ear to the cold metal, her heart racing. It was a pattern, deliberate and measured. Someone was trying to communicate. Elena tapped back, mimicking the rhythm. The sound paused, then resumed, this time in a sequence she recognized. Morse code. Relief flooded her. Not all hope was lost. The message was short but clear. Hold on. Help is coming. Elena's heart skipped a beat. There was someone on this ship willing to defy Xylar, someone who might help her escape, but who and why? The tapping ceased, and the room fell silent once more. Elena leaned against the wall, her mind racing. She wasn't alone, but she didn't know who to trust. Could this be a trap? Or was there truly an ally among her enemies? One thing was certain. She had to be ready. Xylar was marching toward war, and humanity's fate hung in the balance. If she failed, Earth would burn. But if she could escape, if she could warn her people, there was still a chance to stop the bloodshed. Determination burned in Elena's eyes. She wouldn't let humanity fall. Not today. Not ever. Hours passed in the cold, dim cell, but Elena remained alert, her senses on high alert. The rhythmic tapping had ceased, but the message echoed in her mind. Hold on. Help is coming. Who could it be? Another prisoner? A dissenter among the Zyrixians? She needed answers, but for now, patience was her only weapon. The faint hum of the ship's engines grew louder, a steady vibration beneath her feet. They were approaching their destination. Earth. Her chest tightened at the thought of her home planet under siege, the cities she loved reduced to rubble, innocent lives caught in the crossfire. She wouldn't let it happen. She couldn't. The door hissed open, breaking her reverie. 2 Zyrixian guards marched in, their faces concealed behind jagged masks. They gripped her arms with unyielding strength, pulling her to her feet. She didn't resist, knowing it was futile. They led her through narrow corridors illuminated by the same sickly green glow that lined her cell. The walls were covered in alien symbols, pulsating with a strange, rhythmic light. They reached a massive chamber, the ceiling arching high above like a cathedral. In the center stood High Commander Xylar, his golden eyes blazing with triumph. Behind him, a holographic display projected an image of Earth, its blue and green surface rotating slowly, unaware of the impending doom. Elena's heart sank at the sight. The invasion was imminent. Xylar turned to face her, his posture regal and menacing. Beautiful, isn't it? A world so full of life, and yet so vulnerable. He gestured to the hologram, his voice dripping with condescension. A planet protected by insects who dare to defy the Zyrixian Empire. Elena stood tall, her gaze unwavering. You see weakness, I see resilience. We won't fall as easily as you think. Xylar's lips curled into a mocking smile. I admire your defiance, Captain Marquez. It almost makes me pity your kind. He stepped closer, his golden eyes narrowing. Almost. He waved his hand, and the hologram shifted, displaying the Zyrixian fleet, a vast armada of warships, each bristling with weapons, their silhouettes menacing against the void of space. The sheer scale of the invasion force was staggering. Elena's stomach churned, but she refused to show fear. Xylar's voice was low, calculated. We will descend upon your world like a storm, eradicating resistance with precision and efficiency. Your cities will burn, your armies will crumble, and your people will kneel. Elena's eyes blazed with anger. You talk about strength, but all I see is fear. You conquer because you're afraid of anyone who challenges your supremacy. Xylar's expression darkened, his fists clenching. Mind your words, human. You stand on the edge of oblivion, yet you insult the conquerors of worlds. Conquerors, Elena scoffed, her voice dripping with disdain. You're nothing but bullies, hiding behind your technology and armies. True power doesn't come from fear. It comes from respect, from alliances, from unity. Xylar's face contorted with fury. Enough! He motioned to the guards, who seized Elena, forcing her to her knees before him. You dare lecture me about power? Your species is weak, divided. Your precious unity is a facade, crumbling at the slightest pressure. Elena met his gaze, her voice steady. Maybe we're not perfect, but we fight for something greater than ourselves. We fight for freedom, for hope, for each other. And that's why we'll never surrender. Xylar's eyes gleamed with malice. You'll change your tune once you see your world burning. He turned to the control panel, his fingers dancing over the alien symbols. The hologram zoomed in on Earth, highlighting strategic points, major cities, military bases, communication hubs. We strike here, here, and here, Xylar explained, his voice cold and calculating. Simultaneous assaults to cripple your defenses, shatter your morale. Your people will beg for mercy. Elena's blood ran cold. The plan was ruthless, precise. They were planning to annihilate Earth's defenses in a single, overwhelming strike. If she didn't escape, if she didn't warn the Federation, they would be caught completely off guard. Xylar glanced at her, his eyes gleaming with cruel satisfaction. You will watch the fall of your species, Captain Marquez, and then you will kneel before the Xerixian Empire. Elena's jaw tightened. You'll have to kill me first. Xylar's laughter echoed through the chamber, cold and hollow. Oh, I won't kill you. Not yet. I want you alive to witness the destruction you failed to prevent. I want you to see your people broken, your hope extinguished. He turned to the guards. Take her back to her cell. Let her contemplate the futility of her defiance. They dragged her away, her body bruised but her spirit unbroken. As they marched her through the metallic corridors, Elena's mind raced, formulating a plan. The Xerixians were powerful, but they were arrogant, overconfident. That was their weakness. And if someone on this ship truly was willing to help her, she had a chance. A slim one, but a chance nonetheless. She would escape, she would warn Earth, and she would make Xylar pay for his arrogance. The war wasn't over. Not yet. Back in the cold confines of her cell, Elena paced restlessly, her mind racing with the information she had gathered. Xylar's plan was brutal, meticulously calculated to crush Earth's defenses before they could even react. But knowledge was power. If she could escape, if she could get this intel to the Federation, they might stand a chance. The rhythmic tapping returned, faint but deliberate. Elena's heart leaped. She pressed her ear to the wall, listening intently. The pattern was clear, the message urgent. Prepare. Breakout soon. Her pulse quickened. Whoever was on the other side was planning something bold. But who were they? Another prisoner? A defector? Elena's mind raced with possibilities, but she couldn't afford to question their motives now. She needed allies, no matter where they came from. Moments later, the lights in her cell flickered, then dimmed, bathing the room in shadows. A low hum reverberated through the walls, followed by a distant explosion. The floor trembled, and the sickly green glyphs lining the walls flickered erratically. The ship was under attack. A surge of hope flooded her. This was the distraction she needed. But how could she escape? The door was solid, reinforced with alien alloys far beyond human technology. Then she heard it, a metallic clang from above. She looked up, just in time to see a panel slide open in the ceiling. A figure dropped down, landing with cat-like agility. Elena's eyes widened in shock. The newcomer was Xerixian, but smaller, leaner, and dressed in a form-fitting suit instead of heavy armor. They removed their mask, revealing sharp, delicate features and piercing violet eyes. A female, young but fierce, her expression determined. "You're Xerixian," Elena stammered, her mind reeling. "Why are you helping me?" The woman's eyes were cold, calculating. Not all of us crave conquest. Some of us see the madness in Xylar's vision. She approached the door, her fingers dancing over a hidden panel. The door hissed open. "Come. We don't have much time." Elena hesitated, suspicion flickering in her gaze. "Why should I trust you?" The woman's jaw tightened. "Because if you don't, Earth burns, and so does my future." Her eyes softened, just for a moment. "My name is Lyra. I am Xylar's sister, and I will not let him destroy another world." Elena's breath caught in her throat. Xylar's sister? This was unexpected, but there was no time for questions. Alarms blared, red lights flashing as the ship shuddered under another explosion. "Fine," Elena agreed, her voice firm. "Lead the way." Lyra moved swiftly, navigating the maze of corridors with precision. Elena struggled to keep up, her human stamina no match for the Xyrixians' agility. They encountered guards along the way, but Lyra moved with lethal efficiency, dispatching them with swift, calculated strikes. Her combat skills were unmatched, her movements fluid and deadly. As they approached a maintenance shaft, Lyra paused, her eyes narrowing. "They'll be looking for you. Xylar will have every soldier on high alert. We need to get to the hangar and escape before they seal off the exits." Elena's mind raced. "If you're his sister, why betray him? Why risk everything to help me?" Lyra's expression hardened. "Because he's a tyrant, power-hungry, blinded by his own pride. He seeks glory at the cost of innocent lives. I won't stand by and watch him destroy another civilization." Her eyes gleamed with determination. "Our people once valued honor, wisdom. He's corrupted that vision, turned us into conquerors without purpose." Elena was stunned. She had expected nothing but cruelty from the Xyrixians, yet here stood one willing to fight against her own blood for justice. "You're risking your life," Elena said softly, "for a species you owe nothing to." Lyra's gaze softened. "I'm risking my life because it's the right thing to do, and because peace is worth fighting for, even if my people have forgotten that." Elena's respect for Lyra grew. This was more than an ally. This was someone who understood the true cost of war. She nodded, her resolve hardening. "Then let's make sure your brother doesn't get his victory." They climbed through the maintenance shaft, emerging near the hangar. The massive bay stretched before them, filled with sleek Xyrixian fighter ships and transport vessels. Guards patrolled the area, their weapons at the ready. Lyra's eyes scanned the room. "We need to get to that transport shuttle," she whispered, pointing to a small, agile craft at the far end of the hangar. "It's fast enough to escape the fleet's blockade and get you back to Earth." Elena's heart raced. This was it, their chance to warn the Federation, to save Earth from annihilation. But the path to the shuttle was heavily guarded. "How do we get past them?" she asked, her voice tense. Lyra's lips curved into a sly smile. "Leave that to me." She pulled out a small device, its screen flickering with alien symbols. "This will disable the security systems and create a diversion. When the alarms go off, head straight for the shuttle. I'll cover you." Elena's eyes widened. "You're not coming with me?" Lyra hesitated, her eyes betraying a hint of sadness. "My place is here. I must stop Xylar or he'll never stop hunting you, or your people." She placed a hand on Elena's shoulder. "Go. Save your world. I'll buy you the time you need." Elena's chest tightened. She wanted to argue, to convince Lyra to escape with her. But she saw the resolve in her eyes, the unshakable determination. Lyra was willing to sacrifice everything to stop her brother's madness. "Thank you," Elena whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "For everything." Lyra's eyes softened. "Fight well, human. Prove to my brother that strength isn't measured by conquest." She activated the device, and alarms blared, the hangar lights flashing wildly. Chaos erupted as guards scrambled, their systems malfunctioning. Elena didn't look back. She ran, her heart pounding, dodging confused soldiers as she raced toward the shuttle. The path was clear, just as Lyra had promised. She climbed into the cockpit, her hands flying over the unfamiliar controls. The ship roared to life, its engines vibrating beneath her. As she took off, she caught one last glimpse of Lyra, standing defiantly amidst the chaos, facing the guards with unwavering courage. Elena's throat tightened. She owed Lyra her life, and she wouldn't let that sacrifice be in vain. She would reach Earth. She would warn the Federation, and she would stop Xylar's war of conquest, because humanity wasn't weak, and neither was hope. The shuttle shot out of the hangar like a bolt of lightning, its engines roaring as it hurtled into the vast expanse of space. Elena's fingers flew over the controls, her mind racing as she navigated the unfamiliar systems. The cockpit was sleek and alien, the interface a mess of glowing symbols she barely understood. But there was no time for hesitation. Alarms blared as the Zyrixian fleet sprang into action, warships pivoting to intercept her escape. She gritted her teeth, forcing herself to stay calm. "Come on, come on," she muttered, searching for the thruster controls. Her heart leaped as the shuttle surged forward, its speed unlike anything she had ever piloted before. The stars blurred around her as she pushed the engines to their limit, weaving through the blockade. A barrage of plasma bolts erupted behind her, the deadly projectiles sizzling past her ship with terrifying speed. The enemy fighters were fast, too fast. They closed the distance rapidly, their cannons blazing. Elena swerved hard, narrowly dodging a burst of fire that would have torn her to shreds. Her eyes darted to the navigation screen, frantically searching for an escape vector. Earth was still far away, and the blockade was tightening. She needed to outmaneuver them, to find a way through. But they were everywhere, swarming like angry hornets. Suddenly, the cockpit's comms panel crackled to life, Lyra's voice breaking through the static. "Elena, listen carefully. The shuttle has stealth capabilities. Activate the cloaking system and they won't be able to track you." Relief flooded through her. Of course, the Zyrixians were masters of stealth technology. Her fingers danced over the controls, finding the symbol Lyra had described. She pressed it, and the ship's hull shimmered, bending light around it. The enemy fighters hesitated, their targeting systems faltering. "Thank you, Lyra," Elena whispered, her heart heavy. She could only hope that Lyra was still safe, still fighting, but there was no turning back now. Earth needed her. The Zyrixian fleet continued their pursuit, firing wildly at the empty space where her shuttle had been. Elena held her breath, her eyes locked on the navigation screen. The cloaking field was draining the ship's power rapidly. She wouldn't stay invisible for long. She navigated through the chaos, slipping past the blockade undetected. Her hands trembled, adrenaline coursing through her veins as she guided the shuttle toward the edge of the system. A glimmer of hope sparked within her. She was going to make it. She was going to warn Earth. But hope was fleeting. A massive shadow loomed before her, a warship blocking her path. Its cannons glowed ominously, charging with deadly energy. The cloaking field flickered, then failed, the shuttle's power reserves depleted. Xylar's face appeared on the comms screen, his golden eyes burning with fury. "Did you truly believe you could escape me, human?" His voice was low, dangerous. "Did you think my own sister's betrayal would go unpunished?" Elena's blood ran cold. He knew about Lyra. Her hands gripped the controls, her body trembling with rage. "She's fighting for what's right, something you've forgotten." Xylar's eyes narrowed. "She is weak, a traitor to her people, and you are a fool, blinded by hope." His ship's cannons glowed brighter, aimed directly at her shuttle. "Your escape ends here." Elena's heart pounded, but she refused to back down. You think killing me will break humanity's spirit? You're wrong. We will fight. We will rise. And we will defy you. Xylar's expression twisted with contempt. You fight for a doomed world. Your species is already defeated. You just refuse to accept it. He raised his hand, ready to give the order. Goodbye, Captain Marquez. May your death serve as an example to all who defy the Xerixian Empire. Time seemed to slow as the cannons fired, a massive burst of energy racing toward her shuttle. Elena's fingers tightened on the controls, her mind racing. There was no escape, no way to dodge. This was it. Then, without warning, a blinding flash of light erupted behind Xylar's warship. Explosions ripped through his engines, the shockwave tearing his ship apart. Elena's eyes widened in disbelief as a fleet of human starships burst into view, weapons blazing. The comms crackled, and a familiar voice shouted, "This is Admiral Chen of the United Federation. We've got your back, Marquez." Elena's heart soared. Reinforcements. Earth hadn't given up on her. They had tracked her signal, come to her rescue. Xylar's face contorted with rage as his ship buckled, flames engulfing his command deck. No, this isn't possible. How? His image flickered, then vanished as his warship exploded, debris scattering into the void. Elena's chest heaved with relief, her eyes stinging with tears. She wasn't alone. Humanity wasn't defeated. Not yet. The Federation ships formed a protective formation around her shuttle, guiding her safely toward Earth. Admiral Chen's voice came through the comms again, steady and firm. "You did good, Captain. We received your data packet. Thanks to you, we know the Xerixian attack plan. We're ready to defend Earth." Elena's heart swelled with gratitude. Lyra's sacrifice, her courage, it hadn't been in vain. "Thank you, Admiral. It wasn't just me. We had unexpected help." Her voice wavered, her thoughts drifting to Lyra, the sister who had defied her own blood for the sake of peace. Chen's voice softened. "Understood. Get back to base. We've got a war to win." Elena leaned back in her seat, exhaustion washing over her. The battle was far from over, but humanity had hope, allies, and the will to fight. Xylar's conquest was no longer inevitable. As the stars blurred around her, Elena made a silent vow. She would fight for Earth, for peace, and for the memory of a Xerixian who proved that even in the darkest hearts, light could still be found. The war had begun, but so had the resistance. Humanity would rise, and they would fight, not just for survival, but for freedom. The shuttle broke through Earth's atmosphere, its hull rattling as it descended toward the surface. Flames licked at the edges of the cockpit window before dissipating, revealing the sprawling expanse of the United Federation's primary military base. Massive fortifications surrounded the complex, anti-aircraft guns and shield generators humming with energy. Fighter jets patrolled the skies, ready to defend against the impending Xerixian invasion. Elena's heart swelled with pride. Humanity was prepared to fight back. Xylar had underestimated them, blinded by arrogance. But she knew the battle wouldn't be easy. The Xerixian fleet was vast, their technology superior. Survival would depend on strategy, on resilience, and on hope. The shuttle's landing gear deployed with a thud, and she touched down on the landing pad. Engineers and soldiers rushed to secure the craft as the hatch hissed open. Elena stumbled out, her legs trembling from exhaustion, but she forced herself to stand tall. She was greeted by Admiral Chen, his imposing figure framed by the chaos of the bustling base. "Captain Marquez!" he shouted, his face a mixture of relief and urgency. "Damn good to see you in one piece." Elena saluted, her voice steady despite the turmoil within her. "Admiral, I have critical intel on the Xerixian invasion. They're planning simultaneous strikes on our major cities and military installations. We don't have much time." Chen's expression hardened. We intercepted fragments of their communications, but we needed confirmation. Your data just saved millions of lives." He placed a hand on her shoulder. "You did good, Elena." Elena's throat tightened. She thought of Lyra, of her sacrifice. "I had help from someone unexpected." She hesitated, unsure how to explain. "A Xerixian, Xylar's sister. She risked everything to get me out, to stop him." Chen's eyes widened in shock. Xylar's own blood? Why would she betray her people? Elena's gaze hardened with resolve. Because she saw the truth. That war and conquest aren't strength, they're fear. She believed in a better future, one where peace was possible. Chen studied her for a moment, then nodded solemnly. "We fight for that future too. Let's make sure her sacrifice wasn't in vain." Together, they made their way to the war room, a massive chamber lined with holographic displays showing Earth's defense grid and the approaching Xerixian fleet. Officers barked orders, technicians scrambled to update battle plans, and communication channels buzzed with reports from every corner of the planet. The tension was palpable. A hologram of Earth rotated at the center of the room, red markers indicating the Xerixian attack points. It was just as Lyra had warned, coordinated strikes on strategic targets designed to cripple humanity's defenses in a single blow. Chen turned to Elena, his jaw clenched. "We've evacuated civilians from the major cities and activated planetary shields, but our forces are stretched thin. If they break through, we'll be facing them on the ground." Elena studied the battle map, her eyes narrowing. "They're counting on overwhelming us, on shattering our morale, but they're arrogant, overconfident. If we hit them where they least expect it, we can turn their strategy against them." Chen's eyebrows raised. "You have a plan?" A fierce determination filled Elena's voice. "We draw them in, let them think they've broken our defenses. Then we strike back with everything we've got. Coordinated counterattacks on their flagships, sabotage teams to disable their command centers, and a fleet assault to disrupt their supply lines." She pointed to a weak spot in the enemy formation. "Here, their rear flank is vulnerable. If we break through, we can cut off their escape route." Chen's eyes gleamed with approval. "A bold move. High risk but high reward. If we pull it off, we could cripple their entire invasion force." He turned to his officers. "Prepare the counteroffensive, deploy the 7th Fleet to their rear flank, and get our ground forces ready for a full-scale engagement." Elena felt a surge of adrenaline. This was it. The battle for Earth was about to begin. The alarms blared, and the room shuddered as the first wave of Xerixian ships broke through the atmosphere. The sky darkened, filled with the menacing silhouettes of warships descending like a swarm of locusts. Plasma cannons ignited, fiery streaks of destruction raining down on the cities below. The ground trembled as explosions rocked the landscape. Elena's fists clenched, her heart pounding. "They're here." Chen's voice was a growl of defiance. "Then let's give them hell." The Federation's defenses roared to life. Anti-aircraft batteries fired relentlessly, their beams slicing through the sky, tearing into the enemy fleet. Fighter squadrons launched, darting between the massive warships, unleashing missiles and energy blasts. Earth's planetary shields flickered, absorbing the brunt of the initial assault, but cracks were beginning to form. Elena watched the chaos unfold, her mind racing with strategies, adjustments, and counterattacks. She knew Xylar would be leading the charge, driven by his lust for conquest and his thirst for revenge. He wouldn't rest until Earth was ashes, or until he was defeated. She turned to Chen, her eyes blazing with resolve. "I'm going up there. If we take out Xylar, we can break their chain of command." Chen hesitated, concern flickering across his face. "It's suicide. He'll be surrounded by his elite guard." Elena's jaw tightened. "Then I'll make sure they regret underestimating humanity. She met his gaze, her voice firm. "This is my fight. I won't let him destroy my world. Not after everything we've lost." Chen nodded, respect and admiration in his eyes. "Then go. And show him what humans are made of." Without another word, Elena raced to the hangar, her heart pounding with anticipation. She climbed into a Federation fighter, the familiar controls comforting beneath her hands. The engines roared to life, and she soared into the sky, weaving through the chaos of the battlefield. Xylar's flagship loomed above, a behemoth of metal and death, its cannons raining destruction on Earth's cities. Elena's eyes narrowed. She would end this. She would stop him. For Lyra, for humanity, for peace. As she approached the flagship, enemy fighters swarmed, blocking her path. Elena's hands tightened on the controls. She dodged their attacks, her ship dancing through the crossfire with deadly precision. She fired back, her lasers cutting through the enemy ranks, but they were relentless, determined to protect their commander. A cold fury ignited within her. She had faced death before. She had stared into the eyes of tyranny and refused to kneel. She would not back down. Not today. Not ever. With a battle cry that echoed across the heavens, Elena charged toward the flagship, her weapons blazing. She was going to end this war once and for all. Because humanity wasn't weak. It was unbreakable. Elena's fighter dodged plasma bolts with razor-sharp precision, her hands moving instinctively over the controls. The Xyrixian pilots were skilled, relentless, their sleek ships maneuvering with deadly grace. But Elena was faster, fiercer, driven by a purpose they couldn't comprehend. She had to reach Xylar. She had to end this war. The flagship loomed ahead, a massive fortress of metal and firepower. Its hull was covered in glowing glyphs, pulsating with alien energy, shields shimmering like a barrier of light. It was impenetrable, except for one flaw. Lyra's voice echoed in Elena's memory. "The shield emitters are vulnerable at the docking bays. If you hit them there, you can break through." Gritting her teeth, Elena dived toward the docking bays, weaving through enemy fire. The Xyrixian pilots were hot on her tail, their cannons blazing. She rolled left, narrowly avoiding a burst of plasma that would have disintegrated her. The docking bays came into view, massive doors lined with shield generators humming with power. She locked onto the emitters, her targeting system beeping in confirmation. With a fierce cry, she unleashed a barrage of missiles. They streaked through the air, slamming into the emitters with explosive force. The shields flickered, then collapsed, a gap opening in the flagship's defenses. Elena didn't hesitate. She accelerated, rocketing through the breach before it could close. The docking bay loomed before her, swarming with Xyrixian soldiers scrambling to intercept her. She fired her cannons, clearing a path before landing with a bone-jarring thud. Her fighter's hatch burst open, and she leaped out, blaster in hand. The soldiers charged, their weapons blazing. Elena moved swiftly, firing with deadly accuracy. Her shots were precise, her movements fluid, honed by years of combat training. She fought her way through the docking bay, her eyes fixed on the corridor leading to the command center. Xylar was there. She could feel his presence, his arrogance radiating like a dark aura. The corridors were a labyrinth of metal and shadow, lined with alien glyphs that pulsed ominously. The air was cold, the silence broken only by the echo of her footsteps. Elena moved swiftly, her senses on high alert, her blaster ready. She knew this was a trap. Xylar was waiting for her. She rounded a corner and froze. The hallway was lined with Xyrixian elite guards, their armor gleaming black, faces hidden behind jagged masks. They stood motionless, weapons at the ready, blocking her path. And at the end of the hall, Xylar stood, his golden eyes glowing with anticipation. "Captain Marquez," he called, his voice echoing through the corridor. "You've come all this way, just to die." Elena's jaw tightened. "I've come to end this war. Surrender, Xylar. It's over." Xylar's laughter was cold, mocking. "You truly are a fool. This is just the beginning. Your species is weak, fractured. You fight to delay the inevitable." He stepped forward, his presence commanding, his aura oppressive. "You think you can defeat me? I am the conqueror of worlds, the architect of your extinction." Elena's eyes blazed with defiance. "You're just a coward hiding behind power you don't deserve. You destroy because you fear anyone who challenges you." Xylar's eyes narrowed, his golden gaze hardening. "You dare speak of fear? You, a fragile human standing before the might of the Zyrixian Empire?" He raised his hand, his guards stepping forward, weapons aimed. "Kneel, and I may grant you a swift death." Elena's grip tightened on her blaster. "I don't kneel to tyrants." She fired, her shots blazing through the air. The guards reacted instantly, their own weapons igniting in a hail of plasma. She dived behind a pillar as the corridor exploded with energy blasts. The air sizzled with heat, the walls scorched and smoking. Elena's heart raced, but she stayed focused, returning fire with precision. Her shots struck true, dropping guards one by one. Xylar watched with cold indifference, his arms crossed as his soldiers fell. His expression was almost amused. Impressive, but futile. He raised his hand, and the remaining guards surged forward, their movements inhumanly fast, their blades gleaming. Elena barely dodged the first strike, the blade slicing through the air where her head had been. She countered with a shot to the attacker's chest, the guard collapsing with a metallic thud. But there were too many. She was outnumbered, overwhelmed. A blade grazed her arm, pain searing through her as blood stained her uniform. She gritted her teeth, refusing to back down. She fought with everything she had, her movements a blur of desperation and determination. But they were closing in. Xylar's laughter echoed through the chaos. "You are weak, human, just like your species, defiant to the end, and just as foolish." Elena's vision blurred with pain and exhaustion. She was losing. She was going to die here, and Earth would burn. She couldn't let that happen. She wouldn't. A surge of fury ignited within her, a fire that burned brighter than her fear. She roared, her blaster blazing as she fought with renewed strength. Her shots were deadly, her strikes relentless. She tore through the guards, her body moving on pure instinct. She reached the last guard, her blaster pressed to his chest. She fired, the alien collapsing in a heap. Elena stood amidst the fallen soldiers, her body trembling, her breathing ragged. Blood dripped from her wounds, her vision swam. But she was still standing. Xylar's eyes narrowed, his amusement fading. "You are persistent. I'll grant you that." He stepped forward, his aura radiating power. "But your defiance ends now." He drew his weapon, a blade shimmering with alien energy, its edge crackling with electricity. His golden eyes burned with malice. "I will enjoy breaking you." Elena's heart pounded, her muscles screaming in agony, but she raised her blaster, her eyes blazing with defiance. "You'll have to try harder than that." Xylar's lips curled into a cruel smile. "Oh, I intend to." He charged, his blade slicing through the air, its energy humming with lethal intent. Elena braced herself, her body screaming in protest, her spirit unbroken. This was it, the final battle. Xylar was powerful, merciless, and relentless, but she was human, and humanity didn't surrender. She would fight. For Earth, for Lyra, for freedom, and she would win. Xylar's blade crackled with alien energy, its electric hum echoing ominously through the corridor. He moved with terrifying speed, a blur of black armor and golden eyes, his strikes precise and merciless. Elena barely dodged the first swing, the blade slicing the air inches from her face. She countered with a shot from her blaster, but Xylar deflected it effortlessly, the energy bolt ricocheting off his weapon. He laughed, a cold, hollow sound. Is this all the legendary Captain Marquez has to offer? Pathetic. Elena's chest burned with exhaustion, her body battered and bleeding, but she refused to back down. Her blaster was nearly depleted, its power fading with each shot. She had to end this quickly, or she wouldn't survive. Xylar lunged, his blade a streak of light. Elena twisted to the side, pain searing through her as the blade grazed her ribs. She stumbled, her vision blurring, but she fired again, aiming for his head. Xylar dodged with inhuman agility, closing the distance between them. His fist collided with her jaw, the impact sending her crashing into the wall. Her head spun, stars dancing before her eyes. Xylar was on her in an instant, his blade pressed against her throat, its electric hum vibrating against her skin. His golden eyes gleamed with triumph. You fought bravely, for an insect. But courage cannot change destiny. Humanity will fall. Your world will burn. Elena's heart pounded, fury and fear mixing into a raging fire. You think you're a god, but you're just a coward, hiding behind your army, your power. She met his gaze, her eyes blazing with defiance. You conquer because you fear what you don't understand. You destroy because you're too weak to build. Xylar's expression darkened, his jaw tightening. Silence! He pressed the blade harder, the electric crackle searing her skin. You know nothing of power, of destiny. Your kind is insignificant, dust beneath my feet. Elena's mind raced, searching for a way out. She was trapped, his strength overwhelming, his blade ready to end her life. But she wouldn't die here, not like this, not before she stopped him. Her hand crept toward her belt, her fingers closing around the EMP grenade Lyra had given her. A last resort, Lyra had said, her violet eyes serious. This will disrupt Xerixian technology, including his weapon. Use it wisely. With a burst of adrenaline, Elena activated the grenade, the device humming with energy. Xylar's eyes widened, realizing too late what was happening. She slammed it against his chest, the impact triggering the detonation. A pulse of electromagnetic energy erupted, a shockwave of light and sound that rattled the corridor. Xylar's blade flickered, its electric hum dying as the energy field collapsed. His armor sparked and sizzled, the advanced technology short-circuiting. Elena didn't waste a second. She shoved him back, his body stumbling as his systems malfunctioned. She fired her blaster, the shots striking his chest, his armor crackling as it absorbed the energy. Xylar roared in fury, his golden eyes blazing with hatred. He lunged at her, his movements slower, jerky, his systems failing. Elena dodged his attack, her body moving on instinct. She slammed her elbow into his ribs, driving him to his knees. His eyes locked onto hers, burning with defiance. You cannot win, he growled, his voice distorted, his systems glitching. I am Xylar, conqueror of worlds, ruler of the stars. Elena aimed her blaster at his head, her hands steady, her voice cold. You're just a tyrant, and your reign ends now. She fired. The blast struck Xylar between the eyes, his golden gaze flickering, his body collapsing with a metallic thud. The corridor fell silent, his lifeless form sprawled before her. The conqueror of worlds, defeated by a human who refused to kneel. Elena's legs buckled, her body sagging against the wall. Her vision blurred, exhaustion overwhelming her. She had won. But the war wasn't over. The Xerixian fleet was still attacking Earth, still following Xylar's orders. If they didn't stand down, The planet would be destroyed. She stumbled towards the command center, her body screaming in pain. The room was massive, lined with holographic displays showing the battlefield. Earth's cities were burning, the planetary shields flickering as they struggled to hold against the relentless assault. Elena's heart clenched. She couldn't let this happen. She approached the control panel, her fingers flying over the alien symbols. The interface was complex, but Lyra had taught her the basics, her voice echoing in Elena's mind. This is the override sequence. It will transmit to the entire fleet. Use it to stop him. The screen flickered, the command prompt waiting. Elena hesitated, then activated the transmission. Her voice echoed across the fleet, her image projected to every Xerixian ship. "This is Captain Elena Marquez of the United Federation," she announced, her voice firm, unwavering. "High Commander Xylar is dead. Your leader has fallen. The war is over." The screens showed the Xerixian fleet, their warships hovering in stunned silence. Soldiers watched, their faces hidden behind masks, their weapons idle. They were waiting, unsure, lost without their leader. Elena took a deep breath. "Your commander fought for conquest, for fear and destruction, but it doesn't have to be this way. There is another path, one of peace, of honor." Her eyes softened, her voice carrying Lyra's hope. "Stand down. Return to your worlds. The fight is over." The fleet hesitated, the silence stretching across the stars. Then, one by one, the warships powered down, their weapons retracting, their engines humming as they retreated. The invasion was over. Earth was saved. Elena collapsed against the console, her body shaking with relief. It was over. The battle was won. Humanity had survived, but the victory was bittersweet. She thought of Lyra, of her courage and sacrifice, of her hope for a better future. Elena closed her eyes, a tear slipping down her cheek. "We did it, Lyra. We stopped him. We saved them all." Outside, the sky cleared, the enemy fleet retreating into the void. Earth was safe, humanity was free, and peace, for the first time in a long time, was within reach. The war had ended, but the future was just beginning. The aftermath of battle was both haunting and beautiful. The skies above Earth were clear once more, the stars shining brightly where the Xerixian fleet had once loomed like a storm of death. Fires still burned in the cities below, smoke rising from the ruins of buildings that had been struck during the initial assault. But amidst the destruction, there was hope. Survivors emerging from shelters, soldiers helping civilians to safety, humanity rising from the ashes. Elena stood on the balcony of the United Federation Command Center, her body wrapped in bandages, her muscles aching from the brutal fight with Xylar. She watched as rescue ships moved through the skies, delivering aid and supplies to the devastated regions. The planet was scarred, but it was alive. They had survived. Footsteps approached, and she turned to see Admiral Chen standing beside her, his face weary but determined. He gazed out at the city, his eyes reflecting the pain of loss and the relief of victory. "They're retreating," he said, his voice gruff. "The Xerixian fleet is withdrawing from the system. We've won." Elena's chest tightened. "At a cost," she murmured, her eyes drifting to the ruins below. "So many lives, so much destruction." Chen's jaw clenched. "We held the line, thanks to you." He looked at her, his expression softening. "If you hadn't escaped, if you hadn't warned us, Earth would have fallen." Elena shook her head, her voice heavy. "I didn't do it alone. Lyra, she made it possible. She believed in peace, even when her own people didn't." Her heart ached, the memory of Lyra's sacrifice a wound that wouldn't heal. She gave her life to stop her brother, to stop the war. Chen was silent for a moment, his gaze respectful. Then she was a hero, just like you. Elena's eyes stung with tears. She didn't have to help me. She could have walked away, saved herself, but she chose to fight, to save a world that wasn't her own. She looked at Chen, her eyes blazing with resolve. We owe her more than just victory. We owe her the future she dreamed of, a future without war, without hate. Chen nodded slowly. Then we honor her by building that future, together. He placed a hand on her shoulder. The Federation is calling for peace talks. The Zyrixians are leaderless, fractured. If we reach out now, we can negotiate an end to the conflict. No more bloodshed. Elena's heart lifted with hope. That's what she wanted, what she fought for. She looked out at the stars, her voice a whisper. I won't let her dream die. Chen's eyes softened. And neither will I. He turned to leave, pausing at the doorway. Take some time to heal, Captain. You've earned it. As he walked away, Elena felt the weight of exhaustion settling over her. She was alive, but she was broken, her body battered, her heart shattered by grief. But she would keep fighting, for Lyra, for Earth, for the peace they both believed in. She looked up at the night sky, the stars gleaming like beacons of hope. Somewhere out there, beyond the void, Lyra's spirit watched over them, her courage and sacrifice echoing across the cosmos. A tear slipped down Elena's cheek, her voice trembling. We did it, Lyra. We stopped him. We saved them all. Together. The wind whispered through the air, a gentle breeze that seemed to carry Lyra's voice, her words filled with quiet resolve. Fight well, human. Prove to my brother that strength isn't measured by conquest. Elena smiled through her tears, her spirit unbroken. She would carry Lyra's memory with her, a flame that would never die. And she would fight not just for victory, but for peace, because humanity wasn't weak. It was resilient, unbreakable, hopeful. And as long as she lived, she would defend that hope. She would protect the future they had won with blood and sacrifice. The war was over, but the journey had just begun. Turning away from the balcony, Elena walked back into the command center, her head held high, her heart filled with purpose. The stars awaited, and so did peace.